So there are people, not just a few people, but quite a number of people who are sitting in solitary confinement tonight in the D.C. jail charged with trespassing. And yet Tony Fauci is not only free and unindicted, uninvestigated, but he's running around basking in the love on cable TV shows. What's the difference? Well, possibly Tony Fauci knows how to use the media. And if you watched MSNBC last night, you saw the surreal interview he did with Jeb Bush's former flack. Really, it's hard to believe that actually happened. Over at CNN, one anchor at least tried to make his interview with Tony Fauci look legitimate. He asked Fauci why some of his emails were heavily redacted, and Fauci just laughed in his face.
An email exchange between you and NIH Director Francis Collins. The email sent to you said conspiracy theory gains momentum. And this, again, was the idea of the lab leak. Those emails, though, as you can see on the screen, or I can see on the screen, was all redacted between you and Francis Collins.
Yeah.
Do you happen to remember?
Do
you remember what was in the email?
John, they only took about 10,000 emails from me. Of course, I remember. I remember all 10,000 of them. Give me a break.
So, but to be clear, you're saying you don't remember, or you can't tell us what was in the body of that exchange.
I don't remember what's in that redacted, but the idea, I think, is quite far-fetched, that the Chinese deliberately engineered something so that they could kill themselves as well as other people. I think that's a bit far out.
It wasn't much of an interview, to put it mildly, but that's now Tony Fauci's official response. He's not going to say anything. Over on MSNBC, he was, to be fair, pressed harder by someone who's actually smart, and Fauci refused to discuss whether China might have a motive to cover up a lab leak.
You say it's in China's interest, though. Would you agree, though, Dr. Fauci, it is in their interest to hide it if there was a lab leak, or worse, if they were designing something in their lab so that the world, that America didn't know that it came out of their own lab? Wouldn't they want to conceal that?
You know, Willie, I don't want to be speculating on that, because every time I say something like that, you know it as well as I, it will get completely taken out of context and go into the Twitter world like crazy. So, I'm going to leave that to other people and not surmise and guess whose interest it is. It's not helpful.
Miranda Devine is a columnist with the New York Post. She joins us tonight. Miranda, thanks so much for coming on. You hate to keep grousing about the media because it does get repetitive, but this is something that actually matters, because if we don't know where the virus came from, we can't prevent another pandemic. And we could probably save lives if we figured this out. At what point are we going to get to the bottom of this? Will the media decide, enough of this nonsense, Tony Fauci? Answer the freaking question.
Well, I don't know if they ever will. I think Anthony Fauci's been very clever at shaping the media, particularly on this pandemic story. He knew from day one that there were reputable scientists who believed that this was a man-made virus. He also knew that he had been funding gain of function, this Frankenstein research to juice up bat coronaviruses in the Wuhan lab, specifically to get around the Obama administration ban. Anthony Fauci was probably the world's greatest fan, greatest supporter of this dangerous gain of function research. And there were hundreds of American scientists who thought it was too dangerous to persist with. They convinced the Obama administration to lift the ban. Then Tony Fauci took advantage of the new Trump administration in their early days in 2017 to go and tell them that there was nothing dangerous, they'd done a review, and to lift that moratorium. And he is, if this is a lab leak, that's why he has a vested interest. The last thing he wants is for anybody in the media to come close to saying, if this is a lab leak, are you responsible for the research that resulted in that lab leak? He doesn't want that. The other person who's very conflicted is the man whose sub-agency, whose non-profit in New York at the NIH through Anthony Fauci was funding. That's Peter Daszak from EcoHealth Alliance. And like Anthony Fauci, he's very powerful in terms of shaping the narrative. You just talked about the Lancet article that he engineered, and also he was the only American person on the World Health Organization investigation whitewash into what happened in the lab.
Yeah. I hope that you keep pushing, and I know that you have been, Miranda Devine, you and a few others, to get to the bottom of this, because it has profound consequences, not just for understanding our past, but for the future. This is Frankenstein stuff, and it should stop immediately. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.